We're live. We are now live.
Well, good evening, everyone. We'll start the meeting at 6 minutes. So, like the town of Bassendean acknowledges the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation as the traditional custodians of this land, we pay our respects to the elders past and present and acknowledge their continuing cultural and the contribution they make to the region. Declaration of civic responsibility we don't need for briefing sessions.
That's right, because we're not making a decision.
Yeah, so no decisions being made. So whilst councillors would still conduct themselves in accordance with that, it's not a requirement. Attendance and apologies. So we have apologies from Mayor Hamilton and councillors Long and Ames, being apologies and approved leave in the latter case, and an apology for the Mayor given that she's under the weather. So that's all accounted for. And then we have our capable administration with us today, and the public is also, there is a member of the public present, which is great. Declarations of interest, again, not a decision-making forum, but is there anyone that wished to declare an interest at this point? There are none. Announcements, as the acting presiding person, I have none. Statements, questions and deputation by members of the public. Mr CEO, I see we have one member of the public. Will they be giving a statement or a deputation this evening?
Thanks, Mr Chairman. Yes, George Christos is making a deputation tonight, or he's able to make a statement, but I think he's chosen a deputation, so that'll come after the questions and statement time.
All right, in terms of statements, is there anybody else present that isn't giving a deputation that would like to make a statement this evening?
Just like a brief?
As a briefing session, do you wish to make a statement?
Like under 10 minutes, I've just got a couple of things and that's it, nothing like...
Look, in terms of a deputation, if you've registered, which I take it that isn't the case, have you registered in advance? Yeah, so then it would simply be a statement. So if it is brief, it would fit within that. So if you wish to come to the lectern and provide your statement.
Just state your name and what your suburb.
Hi, yep. So Victor Bassendean, long-term fan of the area. What I've noticed with the proposal to Collier and Laneth, or however it's properly pronounced, my issue is that I have been involved, unfortunately, in a couple of accidents where traffic conditions were narrow and cramped, and I feel like the same conditions are going to be recreated on Collier Road, where there's even more commercial and non-commercial traffic going through the area. So I just want a bit of clarity as to why it needs to be stop-start when people turning right from Collier onto, turning right on Guildford onto Collier, why the proposal is, okay, stop at the set of lights, then it potentially stop again when the boom gates go down for the extended period when both trains, when it seems to be closed for trains going both ways, and then what's the mindset behind making people stop again after another like 15, 20 metres, when we've seen in the area that there's been fire trucks that have needed to get into that area, ambos, and in police in the last 12 to 18. That's the most I can remember. So I was just wondering why all of a sudden such a perfect strip of road that flows really well. Unfortunately, some people that don't feel comfortable in that area cause issues with when the lanes split, and then when they want to turn right and they don't check their mirrors. My understanding is that give way isn't optional when you've got traffic coming from both intersections. When you want to try and get on either side, I find it much easier just to go around if you want to get further down to Collier Road when you want to turn right.
In terms of your statement, though, so your statement is that you're opposed to the way in which traffic is
partially opposed, and I just want to understand what the what was brought up with planning as to why it has to be basically stop-start every potentially 10 to 15 metres in that such narrow...
In terms of the statement, we've reached the end of those, but given that there's nobody else present to ask a question, we can take that now as a question. So as I understand it, your question is...
Okay, so my question is, why does it have to be stop-start from that like very immediate area, and why can't it continue to be free-flowing as it is, and that, you know, no right turn signal if the last accident was a result of someone trying to turn right onto Collier from Ilanith and potentially having a U-turn sign when the boom gates go down, when there's going to be close to zero
No,
chance.
okay, I understand the question. So it's in relation to traffic. Mr.
Yeah.
CEO, is there any one in administration that could deal with that question?
Yeah, I might ask the Director of Infrastructure to address that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Victor. I suggested just outside then that maybe I'll catch up with Victor tomorrow. I'm more than happy with that. Because the question, I think, is more around the fact that the town is submitting a black spot application to put traffic signals in at the corner of Collier and Ilanthi.
Yeah.
And that's what the query is about. It's quite a complex question and probably a complex answer. I guess to summarise, though, there's been, as the report said, I think last month, there's been 22 crashes there over the past 5 years. Most of those are right-angle crashes caused by...
Trying to turn right?
Trying to turn right. Limited gaps to turn right. So the full traffic investigation's been done. There are two options. One is potentially a roundabout. A roundabout wouldn't fit there.
Yeah, exactly.
So the next best option was the traffic signals. Noting you're correct, there's potentially the signals at Guildford.
Yeah, honestly, I'd be happy if it was just like an intersection signal, the signal at that intersection just for people who want to turn right and then keep it as the way it is. But my understanding was that I was told roundabout, which in that area, given the high volume of commercial and non-commercial drivers, you're basically just asking for like Tonkin Highway accidents to happen on this side when we actually have like a really good set of drivers that use that area. So I was just wondering, like, if it was going to be the roundabout, why punish good drivers if some people don't enjoy Bassendean enough where they can just take a parallel road to avoid that whole turning right and subsequent crashes? Because I've been involved like both directly and indirectly in those kind of situations, and I can tell you firsthand, just take a parallel road, save yourself a couple of minutes, because it is not worth having to go through insurance and then using our frontline services to have to deal with something like that when there's other issues going on on the highways and on the freeways. Thank you.
With that, Victor, so you're satisfied that the Director of Infrastructure will be in touch and you can discuss those matters in more detail?
Yeah, because I wasn't told when asked. I was only told roundabout in that particular area, which really seemed to be a logistical
No, I mean,
nightmare,
as the Director's indicated, it's a much longer discussion, and he's happy to take the time to discuss that with you.
Right turn set of lights, and also I know Walcott and Beaufort Street has the lit up like no right turn box sign. So if we could just discuss that as well.
Look, I'm sure with that, the Director can take you through those options and probably other options that he's aware of that you might not necessarily be. So, I mean, that...
But yeah,
if you're
no
happy with
right
that,
turn,
Director,
just when the boom gates are down, or just when the boom gates are like freshly open, that or when they go back up, when people are, like, accelerating first and going between gears, second and fourth gear speeds. Thank you.
No, thank you for that. Look, the rail does bisect our town, and we do take black spots very seriously. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. Did you have?
Allowed to make a statement about that as well?
You can ask a question because we've moved into question time. Did you have a question about that?
Okay, first thing I want to say is that when you put traffic lights on Old Perth Road, I actually live in Kathleen Street. It used to be really easy to sort of turn onto the main road. But when you put traffic lights on Old Perth Road, the traffic then starts to come in like lumps, like group of 10, 20 cars. It makes it harder to turn. And it's actually it's congested the traffic as well at the corner of Guildford Road and Collier Road. And I think if you put traffic lights at where he's talking about, you're going to get the same problem around the railway line. And I didn't quite catch what he said, but one thing you could do there is make sure that you can only turn left.
Look, I suppose in terms of the questions there of the administration, so you generally won't ask questions of other members of the public, but if you had a question for the administration...
No, I needed to state that,
yes.
so then I can ask why we can't do this. Make it so you can't turn right from Ilanthi Street on the Collier Road. You have to turn left, and allow people to do a U-turn round where Railway Parade is. You don't need any traffic lights, you don't have people turning right. They just turn left and then do a U-turn and go up.
Well, if that's the question, you've
That's-
understood
that's the
that,
question.
Director, are you able to take that on notice and provide a response?
Yeah, it's a complex answer as well, Acting Mayor, so I'd like to be able to respond accordingly, just not tonight.
Okay, thank you.
If you want to remain at the lectern, there being no further questions, we're moving into deputations.
Okay.
So you've indicated your desire to provide a
Yes.
deputation.
Thank you.
Would you like to
I'm a
commence?
bit disappointed that all of the councillors aren't here because they will be voting on this.
Look, I mean, there will be recordings of this. The councillors will be aware of what is said.
Okay,
So I wouldn't
right.
be too disappointed
Okay,
about
well,
that.
I came to Bassendean 40 years ago as a young man in my 20s, and I bought the house that I live in at number 1 Kathleen Street. I can tell you now it was an absolute dump, all right? And my wife left, after some time. He was wasting all our life and fixing this house up, making it look nice. But there were no turn posts. Is it possible to pull up a screen of the actual photographs, the listing of my house?
Is that something you discuss with the administration? It's in the report, so councillors can refer to the report, which is available online.
Okay.
So they do have regard to what you're saying.
Okay, well, if you look at my house now, you'll see beautiful turn posts. All of that is my own work. The design of the posts, the frieze work, the capital moulding, corporate moulding. My intention was to make the house to look a lot better than what it might have even been when it was built. There is no bit of timber that you can see there except for the beam, but even that was eaten by white ants in places. There's no bit of timber that you can see in that photograph that was not made with my own hands, all right? And I had to calculate, where to put the posts, where to cut all the things, do everything. Even the floorboards weren't there. Even the under timbers of the floorboards weren't there. That's the thing that makes the house look really nice from the street. So my objection to listing my house on the heritage list is based on the fact that the street appeal is all my work. And by putting it on the heritage list, you are actually punishing me. And that's not fair. I mean, I've lived all of my life here, basically. I came here 40 years ago. And even today I just finished fixing the gable on the front of the roof, which I couldn't get a workman to come and do. So I had to swing around the rope myself, hanging on one rope while I'm fixing this thing, because I can't get anyone else to do it. All right? Why? Why am I doing it to make it look nice if I'm going to be punished at the end of it? It shouldn't be on the heritage list because the street appeal is my work. It's my artwork. And the other thing is that you say that Edward Clay built the house. Now that's been revised, and now people are starting to agree with me that he did not build the house. I did get his great-granddaughter, who actually lived in the house, to tell the council that Edward Clay did not build the house. But recently, when I spoke to Alex Snedden, is that his name? Snedden?
Yes, the manager of planning is
there?
present this evening.
Okay,
yes.
I think it's agreed that Edward Clay didn't build the house. You wouldn't even have known that Edward Clay built the house until I said something about it. I'm the one who told you that Edward Clay may live there and may have built the house. But since we've discovered he did not build the house. You don't even know when the house was built. It was definitely built before the records show. Your record show was built in 1914, but there's a photograph probably taken 1912, I'm not sure, where my house is in the photograph. My house is in the photograph, yet number 20 Kenny Street, which is also on your list, is not in a photograph. Now that was built 1913. So my house was built before that house. It was already there. From people I've spoken to that live there, There was the old guy at the back of me, Alex MacDonald, who is the son of probably the greatest mayor that this shire has had. He was mayor for, I don't know, over 5 decades. He was mayor for 34 years, I think. And he only wasn't mayor because at other times when he wasn't mayor, is because he went to fight in World War One. All right. Now his house is not even listed, until I said, why Edward Clay? Why is he such a special mayor? You haven't even included Richard MacDonald in your list. His house, and he actually built that house. He actually built number 20 Kenny Street. All right. So you hadn't had the house in there, and I just feel that I've just been punished from the very start, and all I've done is try to do the right thing. Even when the council lowered the right of way alongside my property, once you lower the right of way, it's the council's responsibility then to build the retaining wall, and you wouldn't do it, so I went and did it. That cost me $12,000. All right, I asked the council to actually to make a contribution back to me. Nothing. Legally, I could actually sue you if I want to. All right, because once you change the right of way, you are actually responsible for the retaining wall for life. And when I had to replace the fence, you done nothing. Council's done nothing to help me. It's always done things to actually go against me, to try to punish me. And I'm being punished because real estate agents are saying my property is worth less if it's on the list. And that's not fair. That's not fair. And the other thing is it's not actually my heritage at all. Really. The place was a dump. It was about to get knocked down. It was about to get... And the photographs that you've put up, you've got a photograph of my toilet, which I built. All that. The tile work is mine, everything. Even the roof. When I bought it, it had a little flat roof of polystyrene ceiling that wobbled up and down, and you had to go in and push your head on the polystyrene ceiling to have a piss. Now, I've changed all that, right? And it's the same as the other photograph. And even the building I built next door. So I'm trying to convince you that you're punishing me and it's not fair. Then I thought I'd come up with a really nice way to compensate me. And that was the fact that you've gone and you've rezoned the strip north of me on Guildford Road from R20 to R100. And at the time you're doing that, I said, why don't you zone mine as R100 as well? Because that way I still might be able to retrieve some of my R40 zoning. I bought the house because it had R40 zoning. It was about twice the price of other houses at the time that I bought it. And I bought it because I knew that it had value in the land. And you, by listing it in the heritage list, take that value away, because I can't build on the front land. There's a big amount of land at the front of my house, which I might be able to build on if it's on the heritage list, because you have to see it. Okay, so I put forward the proposition that you rezone mine also as 100. I didn't even get a reply. You don't even reply. And I never even got a reply when I asked about the retaining wall. Everyone come out and had, sort of made out they were going to do something, but no one did anything. All right? So I personally don't think it should be on the list, because the two things, the street appeal is my artwork. The limestone walls, the garden, everything. That's what makes it look nice. I could have easily put 4-inch turned posts there. I could have turned them so they don't match a house which was built in 1904. All right, I could have easily done that. I didn't have to put the fancy frieze work. I didn't have to rack my brains to come up with a way that I could get a piece of wood that was this big, the frieze things. They actually joined the two halves of a long strip of wood. Right now, so I feel that the street the street appeal is my own work, so that shouldn't factor into it. And now you've found out that Edward Clay did not build the house, he just lived there for 6 years. All right, so that goes against it. But you've classified it the same as the Bassendean pub. I mean, I'm really like, what's the word to say? I'm happy that you appreciate my work, but I don't want you to punish me. And I'm getting real estate agents. I've got lots of them. They've told me your house is worth less. Your house is worth less. And if that's the case, I mean, I might have to sue council to actually recuperate.
We've reached the end of the time for the deputation.
Yeah, okay.
I think you've mentioned previously your view about any causes of action you have against the town.
Yeah.
So I think that's reached the end of the deputation. So I'll turn it over to councillors if they have any questions in relation
Okay.
to the matters that you put forward.
Okay.
Do any councillors have a question they wish to ask? Councillor Carter.
Thanks, Dr. Christos. I know that you've always been fascinated by Bassendean's history, and you've always history in general. You clearly bought this house, and you've worked on it for 40 years. That's an incredible. That you really deserve a lot of thanks. It is a beautiful house, and you brought it to life. I have to ask, why is it specifically that you don't want to be on the heritage list? Is it just because you think that, or you believe that there's a drop in value to your property?
There's a drop in value, yes.
Is that the only reason?
That is the only reason.
Okay. Have you any idea? Sorry, this is two questions. Do you have any idea what sort of value drop there is? Has anyone written it down for you?
No,
or
I haven't actually got anyone to do it. I was.
You were just told that it was a drop in value.
Well, every time I get a real estate agent, first thing they say to me is, unfortunately, your house is worth less. Now, one time a house down the road sold for $1.35 million. I can't remember what number 97 Kathleen Street. At that time, I had someone value my house, and they said, your house is worth 1.1. I said, what? It's got a much bigger yard. It's zoned R40. I said, well, the R40 is not going to matter. You can't put an extra 5 houses on here. Okay?
Okay, so it's
But-
all... Sorry. No.
Oh, sorry, but that's because it's R40. But if it's R100, I may be able to sort of manipulate the system in a way where I can put these other ones back, and then the value stays the same. I personally would like to save the whole house, the block included, and not build anything. But then you've gone and zoned Guildford Road as R100, and I'm going to finish up as being the house in the middle, the house that never moved, of the times. That's not fair.
It's my understanding, and I'll ask Mr. Snedden, that the whole of Kenny Street is a heritage precinct.
Through you, Mayor, a significant portion of Kenny Street is within a heritage area, not all of it, noting it extends further south than Shackleton, but from essentially almost Guildford Road all the way through to Shackleton forms part of our Kenny Street heritage area. The properties fronting Guildford Road do not.
Sorry, I have to ask, does that mean that Dr. Christos's property is in the heritage precinct?
That is correct.
But the houses in Guildford Road are R100. I want to just get big apartments. I won't get any sun. What's the point of even saving my house?
Just in terms of any further questions, because we understand that the R100 coding and everything that goes with that, did any other councillor have a question they wish to put? There being no further councillor questions, we can still discuss this matter when we get to the item itself. So we'll leave any of those questions which the councillors may have of the administration until that point in time. So it's not the end of the matter. There may well be further questions, but thank you for providing your deputation.
Well, I don't plan to stay, but there are things council could do to compensate me, and one of them I tried to put forward was to rezone it as R100.
No, we understand the proposition, and that
No.
may well be something that we ask of the administration. So thank you for coming in, and thank you for all the work
All right.
restoring that house.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we move to the next part of the agenda, which is where we'll get into the substantive matters in the agenda for the OCM to be held on the 28th of July. Mr. CEO, is the first item to be discussed?
Thanks, Mr Chairman. Yes, item 12.2, Kathleen Street, Bassendean Local Heritage Listing and Local Heritage Survey Place Record. So I'd invite the Manager of Planning and Regulation to introduce the report.
Thank you, Cameron. So this report seeks council approval to commence a place-specific review of the heritage listing for the house at 1 Kathleen Street, Bassendean. The review has been prompted by representations from Mr Christos, as we've just heard, who contends that the property's heritage significance has been overstated due to inaccuracies in its recorded history, and that insufficient recognition has been given to the extensive restoration and conservation works undertaken by himself. Following an independent assessment by Hocking Heritage and Architecture, together with further investigations by the town, the administration remains satisfied that the property retains considerable heritage significance and continues to warrant inclusion on both the town's local heritage survey and heritage list. Rather than reducing or removing the listing, the administration recommends commencing a place-specific review to update the place record and statement of significance to more accurately reflect the property's history, acknowledge the landowner's significant contribution to its restoration, and recognise some of the historical uncertainties identified through the review while maintaining the property's heritage protection. Any questions from council? Happy to take.
Councillors? Well, if there weren't any questions from councillors, I suppose the question would be, given what had been put by the landowner, that he's of the view that his property has been diminished in value. I'm not saying that that's necessarily the case, but to the extent that it has been diminished in value, does the town have the ability to grant some additional zoning or advantage to his property to offset that perceived diminution in the value of his property?
Thank you for the question. The town could look at rezoning the property and doing a place-specific rezoning. Generally, that wouldn't be supported by the Minister for Planning. Normally, you're looking at rezoning for an entire area, but the town could look at that. But I would suggest not doing that, noting that this area also falls within the station improvement planning area and station improvement scheme, which is likely to potentially alter densities as well, which may address some of his concerns in the long run.
And I suppose a final question for the record is that when one assesses the heritage value of a property, that is done based on the condition of the property, and it's not relevant whether or not an owner could have 40 years prior simply demolished the property. You look at the property at the time that you're making the assessment as to whether it has heritage value.
That is correct.
Yeah, great, thank you. Unless there were any further questions, we can bring that item to an end and move on to the next, which I believe is the draft Bassendean Town Centre precinct structure plan, which may well touch on the previous item in any event.
Thank you, Mayor. This report presents the outcomes of the public consultation undertaken for the Bassendean Precinct Structure Plan, or PSP, and seeks council endorsement to forward the PSP, subject to some minor modifications outlined in the report, to the WA West Australian Planning Commission. Following public advertising between the 20th of March and the 8th of May, during which the town received 25 submissions comprising 4 in support, 14 in support with comment, 5 not supportive, and 2 providing comments only. Whilst it is acknowledged that the PSP is expected to be superseded in the near future by the state government's proposed Bassendean Station Improvement Plan and Scheme, the administration considers it important that the town formally endorse and submit the PSP as a clear statement of council's strategic vision for the town centre. The document will provide an important advocacy position for the town during the state's planning process and help inform the preparation of the improvement scheme, we hope. Key issues raised through the consultation included building heights, heritage, traffic and parking, infrastructure capacity, groundwater management, staging and the community benefits framework, with the administration recommending the majority of the PSP be retained as is, and those matters are discussed within the report. The report does, however, recommend several targeted amendments, either due to changes in the state's position on planning matters or submissions received. These are outlined and discussed within the report. In addition, the administration recommends that council request the preparation of a district-wide groundwater dewatering policy to provide consistent guidance for future development proposals. This is also in part to address the broader dewatering concern raised by community members at the June Ordinary Council meeting. Any questions from council?
Councillors, any questions? No questions? Councillor Carter?
Thank you, Mr Snadden. Can I congratulate you on this report? It's very thorough, all 600 odd pages of it. My understanding in reading through, there's two issues. Can I ask for two issues?
I think we can allow that.
Thank you very much. The first one is on strengthening the heritage precinct along Old Perth Road for the Art Deco streetscape. It is one of the last remaining in the metropolitan area. So the precinct structure plan talks about step backs. How do you see that as working with the streetscape as it is?
Through you, Mayor, sorry, you should say Madam Mayor, but through you, Mayor. You're correct. The design guidelines within the precinct structure plan do incorporate requirements for upper floors to be stepped back, and that's to ensure the main heritage elements, particularly along the west end of Old Perth Road, is that street frontage facade, ground floor level facade that we know, and whilst accommodating appropriate building heights directly opposite a train station. So having those step backs still enables the presentation of that facade to be retained and that kind of heritage value maintained, whilst enabling development at a suitable density to occur.
Thank you. That's implicit throughout and will be made explicit.
There are provisions within the precinct structure plan outlining that, yes.
Thank you very much. I have one more. The other one is the objection by Main Roads to anything that impinges along Guildford Road. And this is because I understand their road reserve plan and their future planning for that road, which is well over 50 years old. I think it might even stretch back to the Stevenson plan. It's clear that it's very unlikely to happen, because to do so you'd have to remove the heritage precinct from Guildford, and that would be really difficult to do. So while you have no way of getting through Guildford, there's no point in widening anything from West Road or Lord Street onwards. So is there any way of being able to work around this particular roadblock? Sorry for the pun.
That's okay. Thank you for the question. So you're right, Main Roads do have concerns, particularly about any kind of proposed identified traffic infrastructure changes or upgrades that we've identified through the precinct structure plan, and that's why they're only indicative, or we've suggested the modification to refer to that they only are indicative and would require further consultation with Main Roads. Ultimately, traffic and the regional traffic along Guildford Road will require some level of upgrades to intersections to allow density to occur. The Main Roads have been aware of the sub-regional framework and the desire for Bassendean to be a district centre since 2015, and the dwelling targets not only within the town but along other bordering local governments that are going to feed into that regional traffic, and it is a Main Roads issue to come up with solutions to help address that, and hence why we have not proposed any changes other than to make the modifications as indicative and suggestions, noting that this also and this area falls within the Bassendean precinct structure planning, the Bassendean planning improvement area and planning improvement scheme, which will see the state government take on the responsibility for the planning of this area and hopefully they can kind of joust it out at a state level to deal with some of these traffic issues between the department and main roads.
Did any other councillors have questions? Just in relation to that, Manager of Planning, just wanted to understand a bit more about the interplay between the precinct structure plan, which the town has expended a lot of time and money to get right and is a very good document, with the 800-metre radius where around the train station, which the state will be taking responsibility for the planning. How persuasive will the precinct structure plan be? I mean, how much of that good work will the state take on board rather than reinventing the wheel? I know it's a little bit speculative, but in the planning sense, when somebody seeks to impose one of these planning control areas over the top of an existing precinct structure plan, that they would generally use that as the basis, or would it be thrown out entirely?
Through you, Mayor, it's a little bit speculative. We haven't seen. We know that the plan was considered by the WAPC or SPC in June. We have not had any feedback from the state government on that. It's still a confidential matter, and it's before the minister. So we haven't had any further updates as outlined in the report. Generally, though, if you look at philosophically at where the 10 announced improvement plans are, they are areas that have substantially commenced planning work at a local level, and the state government is looking to build on the work that we've already done. But in terms of what the final outcome and kind of heights and things like that, we're not sure. We'll look to try and engage with the state government as much as we can on this project to try and influence as much as we can, but ultimately it'll be the decision for the state.
But in terms of that, though, the town has put forward, I suppose, the local nuances for the state government to have regard to.
That is correct, and this will further kind of endorse that.
Great, thank you. If there were no further questions, we'll move on to the next item.
I just have one 5-second question about that last detail.
Just in terms of that, that's not how the process would ordinarily work. There is a council meeting, the OCM, which will be in a week's time, so you're more than welcome to attend at that stage. And if you study the documents available on the website, ask as many questions, well, within reason, the questions that you might have. We certainly welcome questions based on all of this, but that would be next week. Mr. CEO, we'll move on to the next item, which is 12.4, I believe, or will be the Jubilee.
Yeah, that's correct, Deputy Chair, Deputy Mayor. I would actually ask the Director of Community and Place to introduce this milestone in this project. Thank you.
Thank you, and through you, Deputy Mayor, and good evening, councillors, members of the gallery. So the purpose of this report is to endorse the general arrangement plans of both Stan Moses pavilions and the Caledonian Soccer Club pavilions, so we can proceed to pre-tender estimates and preparation of construction tender documents. The plans are in front of you, and they haven't changed a great deal from the workshop that took place a few weeks ago. I'd probably just want to make a couple of comments because there has been some minor changes here and there. Stan Moses is substantially the same, but we've taken on the feedback from Councillor Ames about including some bifold or concertina doors between the change rooms, and there's been a couple of little tweaks, and we've also included an access ramp. So they're the substantial changes from the adoption of the schematic design in April. With the Caledonians, there's been a few more changes than there were for Stan Moses in response to feedback that received from the club following the workshop in early July. But again, the changes aren't terribly significant, although they did need a little bit of work from the architects. And to point, we've swapped at the Caledonian Club request, we've swapped the male toilets and the referee room. They've changed, and that's to improve access along the veranda side of the building. It means that both female and male toilets are on the same side, and it's just an access improvement. And then we've also changed, there's a bit of a rearrangement in the change room 1, where the toilets have been relocated slightly to allow for better arrangements internally in that room. So if you have a look at that particular area of the floor plan, basically what the club members wanted. I'd actually, sorry, just going to read this the right way. They wanted wraparound seating around the walls, and to allow room for a whiteboard so that they could talk to the game plan, etc. So that was a redesign, and that meant that the toilets moved slightly as well. So they are the substantive changes. And then just to wrap up my introduction, what we're looking at here is that the Stan Moses is a new build. After realising that additions and expansions were going to be a more expensive alternative, and the new design presents a north-facing building with extended undercover viewing, community meeting space, terraced seating, and a stronger relationship between the club rooms and the playing areas. Caledonian's club rooms represents a simple extension with improvements that include more undercover viewing, improved street appeal, brings the external storage under the main roof, and there's obviously additions and improvement to the change rooms and toilet access to improve match day logistics. I would like to just note that this, as Cameron has already mentioned, this is a significant milestone, and I look forward to your endorsement of this at next week's meeting. Do you have any questions?
Councillors, any questions? I don't see any questions on that. I suppose I would just ask in relation to the financial considerations, just to provide some input on that, and I suppose how that relates to the long-term financial plan and how the town has, I suppose, been diligently saving to allow this to occur.
So the financial situation at the schematic, or was it concept, it was sitting at 9.4 million, and we've been able to reduce that through value engineering to a $9 million project. It actually sits slightly under that. It is worth noting that those costs are indicative because we now progress to detailed design, pre-tender estimates, and then bring it back to council. From the long-term financial plan perspective, it's been accommodated for, and that has been detailed in the report at page, sorry, just pause while I find the actual page, on page 36 of the report.
Excellent to be tying it back to the long-term financial plan, so thank you for that. If there weren't any further questions, we'll move on to the next item, which is the street sweeping tender.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'd ask the Director of Infrastructure and Sustainability to introduce the report.
Thank you, thank you, Deputy Mayor and CEO. This report is another one of our operating contracts that has expired, will expire soon. This is the street sweeping and car park sweeping within the town. We have a program of works, I guess, that's included in the report. It needs to be noted that the program and the way the contract's been written is rather flexible in that while we might say there that we'll sweep a road 4 times a year, there is flexibility in that contract where that can change, so it can be seasonal depending on leaf litter, debris on the road. So as I say, it's an operating tender. The recommendation is included with the financial details in the confidential part of the report. Seeking Council's approval next week to appoint the contract to the recommended contractor. Thank you.
Now, councillors, firstly, are there any questions? All right. Well, there being no questions, we don't have to have regard to the confidential nature, and we can simply move on to the next item. Mr. CEO.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. The next item is the 12.6 Council Policies Review. Policies review are a normal process of council on a annual or biannual basis. This review is really a bit of a tidy up on five policies in the CEO and the governance area. The first policy is the appointment of the acting CEO policy. The next policy is the current council member ICT policy, and there's only the 3, sorry, and the council member continuing professional development policies. These have been reviewed from an administrative and a technical standpoint to make sure they still comply with the latest legislation and the reforms, and the changes outlined in the report make it clear what the current is, what the proposed change and why. And I would happy to take any questions on either of the policy reviews.
Councillors, did you have any questions, and if so, in relation to which? I see that there are no questions. We'll move on to the next item. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Councillor. So the other item on the report is 12.7. It's our quarterly review of our council plan, which we do obviously 4 times a year. This is the latest update. You can see from the report that we're tracking very well. We have 18 complete, 25 on track, 1 that's under monitor and review, and 3 that are not started. So out of that process, 91.5% are either on track or completed, which is really pleasing. The Ashfield Reserve Master Plan is one of those plans that is not yet commenced, and the reason we haven't commenced it is really as a result of the state government's announcement around Station Precincts Improvement Plan direction, because we have asked if Ashfield Reserve or Ashfield Train Station could be included in that next rollout, which will then change that area considerably, and the $40,000 or $50,000 we were going to expend on a master plan might therefore be obsolete. So we're waiting for some direction from the state government before we were to spend any more council money in relation to that project. If there's any questions, happy to take them.
Councillors, any questions? Again, there are no questions. Mr. CEO, does that bring an end to the employee reports?
I think the Director of Finance might have a report, so I'd introduce her to make the accounts paid report. I'll remind Council that we have distributed, and we encourage councillors to read the accounts paid and provide questions prior to next Tuesday, so we can give you a detailed answer if it's around one of the many payments that we make. But obviously it's important to talk about the monthly financials, so I'd recommend that we spend a bit of time on 12.9.
Certainly. The Director of Finance.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and councillors. This is the final report for the year. I've actually given you 2 reports here. One is the actual for Bassendean, and also one's the one, Wind in the Willows one, which we'll discuss shortly. So this one here, if you note that it's not the final figures for June, because it can't be, so it's a little bit early because we're still to do the prepayments. I've put a list in there that still has to be actually looked at, would be your prepayments, your accruals and everything like that. But everything is actually tracking really well, so I've got no issues in regards to your normal standard process. Nothing's changed from the previous month. The only one I really just want to show you is your Wind in the Willows, just because we haven't actually spoken about that already. If you notice, there is actually a loss greater than what we were predicting a couple of months ago. If you look at the report, it's actually predicted a $180,000 loss. I just wanted to just point that out to you. I'll just get my page, sorry. If you see in the, has everybody got okay with the figures? If you can see, it's 180,000. We were predicting about 140,000 loss because we gave you revised figures a few months ago in April. But I just wanted to just point that out to you. It has actually been a loss of 180. And I'm actually predicting in the future it will keep on going for the next year.
Can I ask?
Councillor Carter, please.
Thank you very much. Very good, very thorough. Thank you. Why do you predict that there will be an ongoing loss? Is there a particular reason for this, or is it related to cost of living?
No, I can actually. Sorry, through Deputy Mayor and the CEO, we have actually some children have already left already. It'll be natural nutrition because of a lot of them is actually mainly because of the price increase. Some of them are saying, and some have actually left. Some of them have actually moved to other places, such as Cha-Cha-Cha and things like that. But we'll get into more detail later on. So I just thought I'd just detail that for you. That has been a loss, and it's continuing just now.
Were there any other questions from councillors? With that being the case, we'll move on to the next item. And thank you for that summary and keeping us abreast of the issues with that loss. Mr. CEO, was that now the end of all reports?
Yes, I'm just saying, just checking. Yes, it is, Deputy Mayor. We don't have any confidential reports. We did have a confidential attachment for the tender document, which the manager, the Director of Infrastructure, has dealt with. So that is it for tonight's normal agenda.
And just, I suppose, finally, announcements of notices of motion for the next meeting. So item 13, there are none previously given. Item 14, are there any, is anyone wanting to give notice of motion for the next meeting? I see that there is none. No urgent business, as the CEO has indicated. There's no confidential business to be dealt with. So that being the case, we'll bring the meeting to a close at 6:52. Thank you all.